All right. With that said, let's get into the topic of our young man today. I know he's been on the road with his beautiful daughter. They're visiting colleges. Seemed like only yesterday she was a young lady. I shouldn't say a child, a young lady. Now she's grown into a full-blown woman, and now she'll be leaving the nest. And I know he's going to be biting his fingernails off as she goes away from home to college. And I know he's not ready for that yet. And yes, I've been there, sir, so I can sympathize and empathize with you. And without further ado, he hails from San Diego, California. He's one of our trainers every second Saturday of the month of every month this year. And we want to thank him for being back off the road and back at home. I can't wait. I hope he give us a couple minutes synopsis of what has happened on the road with his daughter going to college. So many of us have been down that road. So without further ado, from San Diego, California, Regional Director, Mr. Julian Lewis.
Well, first of all, Mr. Thomas is great. I got, walking around all these kids. I must have, somebody must have got me sick, so that was awesome too. So I was able to enjoy that, and I'm getting over it. It was bad yesterday, but I'm getting over it now. So that means that I can actually be on the call with all of you. We had a great time. She loved it. And I know she's really focused on going to UCSD. So she's looking at going there and staying on campus at least the first year, probably the first 2 years. But we're really excited for her because she's doing extremely well in school. And it's great when you're doing well and you get to choose, right? You're not left with, well, here's all I can get. She has a lot of options. So it's been a great time. We've been having a lot of fun. I was with my daughter, this was last year, around Christmas time, and we were at a Chick-fil-A, and I was looking at these kids, and I said, I was listening to them, and then come to find out they were the second year in college. And I looked at my daughter and I said, baby, do they look like, she said, yeah, they look like they're in college. And I said, oh no, because you know what that means, right? So after a while, everyone starts to look like kids to you. But I am so excited. I'm impressed with who she's becoming, and very excited that she's confident in the direction she wants to go, and the abilities she wants to explore. So we'll talk more about that in private, but just to give all of you a little bit, before I get into who I am, I just want to let you know, Mr. Thomas has been in my life for over a decade. Guys, he's been a friend, he's been a mentor, he's done so much in my life just as a man, being a father himself, and the advice that I get, just the jokes, the things that happen where I can't even, guys, you just have to get an opportunity to hang out with him, just in person. Because on here, you may say, okay, this might be his persona, but the truth is, he shows up authentic. This is who he really is 100% of the time, every single day. That energy is the same. It'll throw you off, but he's not performing. That's who he really is. And I'm so blessed to be able to know who you are, and to be able to experience that in person, one-on-one. So thank you for everything that you do for me and for my team and my family. And ladies and gentlemen, just to give you a brief background on myself, again, my name is Julian. Prior to getting involved with this company, I was a senior systems engineer. I was working roughly 80 to 90 hours a week. I was averaging 50 to 60 flights a year, which put me in a situation where I had no time. I didn't have time for myself or my family. And that became a problem when my fiance and I found out we were gonna have a baby girl. And good fortune came my way. I was introduced to this company by my first mentor in this industry, who shared with me a system that allowed me to replace my six-figure income and enabled me to come home to my family. And most importantly, I was able to become the type of father that I felt my daughter deserved. And it's crazy to me to think about that 6-month-old baby and where she is today. And I can tell you that I'm blessed to be able to had time to be at all of the field trips and all these special moments and the first moments. And it really is because I put my head down and went to work with this company. And so what I want to do is I want to talk to you about something about bridging the gap. We want to bridge the gap between an amateur and what's seen as a leader. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, going into the holiday. And the reason why I want to share and talk about this is because oftentimes I believe that when we come into something as amateurs, we'll look at leaders and we'll make assumptions that keep us from being leaders. And a lot of these assumptions, I would assume, I'm making an assumption right now, I would assume that about over 90% of them aren't true. And so one of the big assumptions that people make when they see a leader walk by, or they see a leader command the room, or they see a leader present is, wow, they must have just been talented. That must be their special talent. Can you guys do me a favor? Put in the chat if you've seen that and actually felt that. And I really want you to be honest with me today, because if you're not 100% honest today, I'm not going to be able to help you to the level that I can if you are. So yeah, Daryl, you've seen someone in front of the room, maybe a Mr. Al Thomas, or maybe a Mr. James Adlam, or somebody, and you're like, wow, oh my gosh, there's no, like, I can't even speak like that when I'm talking to one person. How can they speak like that in front of a million people? This is crazy. Lurleen, you felt that way, right? It's like, how are they so, I'm an introvert. They must be extroverted. That you start making all these assumptions. Oh, it's because they're just special. It's because what? It's because they were built for this. You start making up all of these weird assumptions. And it's funny, I saw Ursula say yes. And Ursula and I have had this conversation face to face. And I told Ursula, I'll never forget, I said, Ursula, I see more of your, and please don't hurt me, Ursula, I see more of people show up with other people at meetings. You know, 1 million people, girl. I remember telling her that. But there's something that we do up here where we trick ourselves in believing that we're different and they're special. Therefore, the reason why I can't be like that is because I don't have that secret sauce, that special goodness that they were born with, that they were packaged with, that allows them to shine the way they do. How many of you have felt that way many times in AC? Be honest. Okay. How many of you feel that way right now? Put a 1 in the chat if you feel that way right now. Kenny, I see you. Oh, I see you, man. We're gonna fix that today. So if you feel that way, Catherine Williams, hey, we're gonna fix. If you're willing to be coached today, I'm gonna fix that. How many of you have ever heard leaders say, the leader that I am today, the way that I present today, the way that I speak today isn't who I was when I first got started? How many of you have ever heard that before? All right, another moment to be brutally honest. How many of you, when you heard the leaders say that in your mind, you were saying, oh, that's crap. He's probably good this whole time. He's just trying to make us feel better. How many of you have ever said that? Be honest. Because I know it's not just me. I said, oh, okay, I get it. He's trying to get me to be confident. Because if I knew that he was good the whole time, then I would just quit. And I'd realize that this is a business that not everyone can do. See, I appreciate your honesty. I'm not the only one. And I'd look at them like, you know how you look at someone side-eyed? When people would say that, when leaders would say, I was terrible my first presentation. I would look at them side-eyed like, what are you up to right now? Are you trying to convince me to go out there and make a fool of myself? And some of you might be thinking that doesn't make sense because you're a great presenter. Yeah, I wasn't. And I'm going to take you through it. And then I'm not going to just leave you there, because one thing I used to dislike about certain trainers when I was new is they would express and explain, but then they would leave you there. And so you wouldn't have a solution. You wouldn't have a solution to get out of it. And so the first thing you need, I'm going to share with you, the first thing you need is courage. Okay? Courage. I'm going to be completely transparent with you this morning. I'm already sick. I have a stuffy nose. I don't sound the same. So I'm just to be raw, transparent. Okay? I was terrible. When I first started. As far as presenting, I was so terrible. But I had courage. You have to have courage. You have to have faith as well. See, part of me didn't want to believe that these people were, part of me wanted to believe that they were just special. But another part of me was hopeful that what they were telling me was true, that they were terrible, just like me. Okay, so you want to have courage. And then you have to have an understanding of how learning something new works. All of us on here are adults. Most of us are beyond our 20s. Some of us are beyond our 30s and 40s. Here's what that means. We've been adults for a long time. And as you've been adulting, most of what you do on a day-to-day is in your comfort zone. This is very important. When you're a child, you become extremely comfortable with the uncomfortable. Why? Because everything is new. Everything's new. There's nothing that you've done for a long time to the point where it's just automatic. Can we agree? Everything's new. When you're an adult, everything's in your comfort zone. Even the way you wake up, you don't even have to look. You can, if you've lived in your home long enough, you can, with your eyes closed, get up, get out of the bed, maneuver around stuff, and make your way to the restroom. Why? Because you've done it a million times. We're so comfortable that the thought of doing something new frightens us. And that happening, that thing that you're doing in your mind is keeping you from greatness. Because you forget that everything that you're comfortable with now is something that was new at some point, and you had to learn it. So this is no different. Anything that you learn, you have to accept being terrible at it first. And here's what I want you to do. I don't want you to try to be good. I just want you to do the thing. Okay, so let's take, for instance, we could talk about peaking, we could talk about acquiring customers, we can talk about presenting. So let's focus on presenting. It's random, presenting. How many of you want to get great at presenting? You want to get great at presenting, okay? First thing you need is an example. Do we have many examples of great presenters? If you want a standard generic example of an efficient, simple, brief presentation, I'd go on YouTube and look for Tony Kupas's 8-minute video on break. He presents the entire ACM presentation. It's the newest one. So it's only been out, I think, for maybe 3 weeks, two or 3 weeks. So go to YouTube, look it up, okay? And so now you have an example. You have an example, you can watch it. Here's what I would recommend with that example. Listen to it every day. Not like you don't have to listen to it on repeat all day, but listen to it every day. Start the day listening to the presentation. Get to the point where you can say the presentation, just like Tony Kupas. Now, I promise you'll be able to do it because you do it with songs. All of us know certain songs by heart. And what's funny is some of the songs we can't stand, we've memorized too. Isn't this true? Like if the radio keeps playing a song that's horrible, but it's a station you listen to and you don't want to change the channel, after a while, you'll know all the words to that song that you detest, right? So what I'm saying is to put the ACN presentation, the newest one that Tony Kupis does, put that on your playlist of something you listen to every single day. I'm equipping you to be a beast in this business. And I'm telling you the things that I actually did, okay? I had a recorded presentation, Mr. Thomas, back then, when I was brand new in ACN, I had a recorded presentation of you and Danny Volanino, both of you, and it was on a CD. It was on a CD. So you guys know what those are, right, kids? So I listened to that every single day, and the other double disc I listened to was Jim Rohn Challenge to Succeed. Okay, that got my mind right. So I'm telling you the recipe that created the presenter that I am today. Okay, so I would recommend Tony Kupis, and I recommend Challenge to Succeed every day until you can sound like Jim Rohn every single day, right? Because the concepts, the ideas are just amazing. And notice I didn't say his network marketing one. No, just Challenge to Succeed, because there's concepts in there that you need. It's like a prerequisite before you even get to the network marketing conversation. Okay, so now we got the good stuff coming in. We're consuming the good information. We're listening to the right way to present every single day. Okay, now here's the next step. You got to practice the presentation. And this is where people start pumping the brakes. So how do you practice the presentation? You ask people, hey, in my business, I have to be effective at presenting. And I have a deck that I present to people. I need your help. Would you give me 10 minutes of your time to allow me to practice on you my presentation, and then critique how clear you could understand it, how well you could understand it, how clear it was, okay? That's all you have to do. And this is what I need you to do. So Tony Kupis' presentation is 8 minutes. So I'm giving you 10 minutes, okay? I'm giving you 10 minutes to do it. And you need to do at least 3 of those a day, Monday through Friday, just 3. So you're doing 15 practice mode a day. 15 practice mode a week. And what's gonna happen is you're gonna start to get comfortable with the presentation. You're gonna start to realize that your confidence level is building. See, confidence, it starts to show up when you're prepared. Because it's new people every single time, you're gonna be able to experience sharing it with different types of people. And because they're gonna critique how clear it is, it's going to help you to become better at figuring out what words make things make sense. All these things are gonna help you to be a better presenter. Now, I wish somebody would have told me this when I was new. I went out there without a parachute. It was crazy. And I'm telling you to do it the way that I shared with you right now versus the way that I did it. I'll explain how I did it. But the reason why I'm telling you to do it this way is because you have to be able to take a lot of freaking pain to do it the way I did it. And not everyone can. And I'm not expecting everyone to do so. So you don't need to have that mental battle back and forth in order to become great. What I learned with habits is if you just show up and do it every single day and do it every single day, you're going to get better. And so you can do it where there's a little bit of challenge, but not so much challenge that it becomes overwhelming and you want to freaking quit. Okay? I was trying to convince myself not to quit, every other day because I just went 100% into the pain. Okay. And so here's what I did. I was traveling. I was brand new in the business. I was still working at my job, and I was in Houston. And I called up my mentor and I said, hey, I'm in Houston while I'm out here. I don't want to be stagnant. I want to do something when it comes to the business. I want to pique some people while I'm out here because I'm out and about. Do you have a script or something that I can say to people so that I can get their phone number? Okay, this is really what happened with me. Okay. And my mentor, he said, here, go, he said, grab a pen and paper. I grabbed one and I wrote it out. After he finished giving me the script, you know what I realized? The script was a whole page. It was a whole page. I said, okay, I'm not going to be able to go up to people and read this like this. I'm going to have to memorize this script. And so I was in my hotel room memorizing the script. And then I said, all right, I have it memorized, but do I look weird when I'm saying the script? Like, these are real things that I thought about. And so you know what I did? I got in front of the mirror in the bathroom, and I was saying the script to myself to see what I look like, my facial expressions, because I wanted to look normal. I didn't want to look like I was reading a script. And so I did that over and over and over and over. And I said, all right, I said, you're going to do this all day, or you're just going to have the courage to go out there and do it. I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm going out to do it. And so I got in my rental car, left the hotel room. I was staying off of Westheimer in Uptown in Houston. So that's it. If you guys know where that is, it's like right next to the Galleria out in Houston. So I was staying there, and I got onto the main road, and I said, the first person that I see by themselves, I'm going to peak. And so what did I do? I didn't allow myself to start to pick and choose people, right? Next week, I'm going to talk about the process of the list and picking and choosing people. I think next week. I don't know if I'm if that's the last one, but Mr. Thomas, if we have time, I would love to share with them about that, because that is major, how to sort. But so I said, the first person I see, I'm pulling over, and I'm gonna peek them. And so I saw someone sitting at the bus stop. I said, I got action. I pulled up into the strip mall. The bus, he was sitting at the bench facing the street. So I pulled up behind him, got out, like I was gonna hunt somebody down. I got out and I said, excuse me. And he said, yes. And then I went to, pull up the script from my mental Rolodex, and it was deleted. I didn't remember a thing. I didn't know what I was supposed to say. And I said, I'm sorry, I gotta go. And I got back in the car. I'm like, what just happened? This is crazy. Like, you memorized it. What just happened? And then I felt, I don't ever have sweaty palms. My palms were sweaty. I felt like, you guys ever had a cop pull up behind you and the sirens turn on and you're like, oh crap. And then they drive around you because you're just in the way. And then after they drive off, you start to realize you're a little tense because you start to relax. That's how I felt. That's how I felt when I was back in the car. And so I said, you know what? I don't recommend, because this was pain. So I don't recommend doing this, but I started hitting my chest. Like, bro, what's wrong with you? Man up. It's crazy. I've done this before. So I decided to go to Galleria Mall. I said, you're going to talk to everyone you see. You're going to go in and out of check this out, guys. This is important. You're going to go in and out of every store. You're not going to pick and choose. And you're going to ask to speak to the manager, and you're going to say something. So here's what I would say. I'd ask to speak to the manager, and I'd say, you know what? I was in here the other day, and I needed to speak to you. And they're like, oh, no, you got a problem. And I'd say, the reason why I wanted to speak to you is because I was impressed by how smoothly this store ran. And I know that a system that runs this smoothly reflects leadership. And I have a question. Are you happy where you are? Or are you recruitable? Because I'm looking to poach you from this store. I didn't mince my words. I still remember it from way back in the day. Some of them will be like, oh my gosh, yes. You think about this for a second. How exciting would that be? That person would, even if they said no, they would call up their spouse or whoever and say, oh my gosh, I'm doing a great job. Some headhunter came in here and they were impressed and wanted to recruit me out of the store. They're not angry, they're excited. So I did that in every store. In the beginning, I would get no's and fake phone numbers. Not kidding. But it was because I didn't know what I was doing. But over time of doing it, I got more comfortable. And you know what happened? To this day, I'm gonna be honest with you. Because I really started observing, I know people who have been doing this for a long time, they still get fake numbers. It's because you're not paying attention. You're too much in your head about what you think versus observing other people. I don't get fake numbers anymore. Mr. Thomas, I haven't gotten a fake number since probably my first year in this business. And the reason being is because I'm just speaking to it, I'm authentic. You guys get fake phone numbers because you show up weird. I'm not giving you my number if you're a goofball. Like, why would I give you my number? Hey, you come up and say something weird and random to me? Oh, you want my number? Sure. Fake number. Get out of my face. So you got to ask yourself, if you get a lot of fake numbers, if your breath doesn't stink, if that's not what it is, because it could be, I'm just being honest with you. It might be the fact that you come off a little peculiar and not in a good way. Okay? So that was a side note. But I started getting better and better and better and building a list. So I said, you know what? I was frightened to death to do that. Let me try this with presenting. Guys, my first, I brought my 2 recruits that I recruited cold market at San Diego State, a guy named Abraham Torres, we're still close today, and his friend, Luis Balayeza. And what we did was I had them sit and watch me fail, watch me figure it out. Luis became a beast. He became my first leader because he watched me go through it. And I would take them everywhere I presented. And we used to have these credibility binders, Mr. Thomas. It wasn't even like a regular presentation. You'd see all of this stuff that we would show you. And then one day, like after we did this for 3 days, they witnessed a guy say, I love this. I'm ready to get started. And he went in the back pocket, pulled out his wallet, and pulled out his credit card. And I looked at Luis and I looked at Abraham, and you could see them like, what? It works. And they got all excited and they were trying to hold it in because they didn't want him to think that he was the first one, even though he was the first one. And so we were like, we don't need an upline. We do this ourselves. We went crazy. We started apping up people, showing this business to people, sharing the opportunity. I said, you know what? Let me do this. Let me see if it's me or if it's just the exposures. So what I started doing was bad presentations, what I considered bad presentations. I would mix up stuff. I would still be clear and people would still sign up. So, you know, I realized, oh my gosh, it's not me. It's just showing it enough. And that's why in my training, you guys see, if I say, if you get enough eyeballs, exposures, you get enough people to see it, they'll sign up. Here's what happens in the process though. And this is why it confuses people. If I'm exposing a lot of people, that means I'm presenting to a lot of people. If I'm doing 10 presentations a day, by default, am I going to get better at the presentation? Yes or no? Yeah. and here's why that kind of messes up new people. Because new people assume the way I present is what's getting people to sign up. It's not true. I just got better at it because I kept having a conversation. But what was getting people to sign up is the fact that I keep exposing more and more and more and more people. And the reason why I'm telling you guys this is because some of you are still leaning on your upline to present, and you've been in the business 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Some of you still believe that they have some secret recipe or secret sauce that allows them to be great where you're not. And I wanted to dispel a myth today. The only reason why they sound better is because they presented more. The only reason why they can peak better, more effectively, is because they've been willing to look like a fool in front of more people. In other words, they've had more courage. So I'm going to tell you something, and I hope this hurts your feelings. I hope it does. This is out of love. The reason why you're not great at peaking, and the reason why you're not great at presenting, and the reason why you're not great at acquiring customers is because you lack the first two things that I mentioned: courage and faith. When I got started in this business, Mr. Thomas, my upline was traveling all over the country because he came from another company and he had teams everywhere. And they had a different system. He was trying to get everyone acclimated. So he signed me up under a guy named Mr. Bailey. He signed me up under Mr. Bailey. And Mr. Bailey's like, I'm going to launch you. Here's what you need to do. And then Mr. Bailey didn't tell me he was moving to Texas. So then Mr. Bailey, like a couple of days after, or a couple of weeks after, he left. And so my upline moved to Texas, bought a huge mansion out in Frisco, and he was gone. So I was by myself. I could have either blamed my upline or stood on my 2 feet and figured this out. I decided to figure it out because there's a strong reason why. My question is, why aren't you? Look, some people will say, Mr. Thomas, and I'm sorry, this is all real today, but some people will say, I'm great at customers. I'm great at business partners. You're great at pitching yourself a narrative. Let me say that again. You're great at pitching yourself a narrative. It's mind-boggling to me. If someone says, I'm great at getting customers, but not so good at presenting, you know what I say? Don't you know that getting a customer involves presenting? Do you realize that you're presenting when you ask somebody for a favor? That's a script. Hello, you're presenting. So what you're doing is you're compartmentalizing and you're telling yourself a story that you're actually believing. You can be great at all those things because it takes courage, faith, and the last C is consistency. So I'm trying to take the, unlock whatever's going on in your mind right now. So if you have believed that you're only great at presenting and you're not good at customers, stop it. Your narrative is limiting your success. If you think that you're amazing at customers, you're walking around with 2,000 personal points, but you're like, but I can't, I'm gonna do that because I'm not good at getting, stop it. Those are limited beliefs and they're lies. You can do both, but you gotta get into being uncomfortable again. You gotta have the courage to look like a fool until you get good at it. And then you have to be consistent. And if you can just show up and be simple like that, you're gonna win. You're gonna freaking win. There's no reason why I win like this. And here's what's scary. Most of the average, the ordinary world, guys, they don't know this stuff. One of my friends, you know what he does? It's crazy. He coaches, so a friend of mine, Charlie Dahoney, we played football in high school. he's taken 3 businesses to unicorn status. If you know about businesses, that's insane. He sits on 15 boards, mega wealthy, and he coaches founders on how to be successful. And we were talking about it. He said, everything you learn in network marketing that you become good at, most of these founders don't come equipped with. And he said, the reason why most businesses fail is because they don't come equipped with the skills that you guys learn in network marketing. I'm telling you, stop taking this for granted. Learn it. Get good at both. You don't want to be walking around in the gym with a big upper body and 2 little sticks for legs, right? Does that make sense? That's how some of your business look. You're great at customers, but your legs are presenting. You got 2 little twig legs walking around. Get good at both. I don't believe this nonsense of you can only be good or you'll probably be good at one or the other. Stop it. This is a business where you need to get good at both and be well-rounded. So make that happen. So with that, Mr. Thomas, little what do you call it, a fireside chat, but I hope that helped. Stop blaming it on your special upline. It's really the lack of courage. Get your butt out of your comfort zone and start doing the things that I shared with you, and you can get the results that you want.